When Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin was first announced, it was met with a lot of mixed reception. And indeed, when that first trailer played, I had no idea what I was looking at. The absolutely goofy designs of Jack Garland and his friends, the extremely questionable dialogue, all supposedly taking place in the world of Final Fantasy I. And just recently, they've released an almost 5-minute final trailer. How have my thoughts evolved since Stranger of Paradise was first announced? Well, I think it's important to note that Stranger of Paradise has some banger gameplay. I played both of the demos pretty extensively and I really enjoyed them. This is Team Ninja doing exactly what Team Ninja does best, and creating visceral, heavy-hitting action gameplay. And ironically, the story, characters, and direction were done by Square Enix. And ironically, that's where things become somewhat divisive. On one hand, people think that this game is hilarious, in such an ironic way that they actually kind of like it, in an it's so bad that it's actually kind of unique way. The other perspective is that it's actually just kind of stupid, and weirdly enough, I kind of see myself in both positions. And while others find themselves warming up to this title more than ever, I find myself more mixed on the idea than ever. That's not to say I'm leaning negative, it's also not to say I'm leaning positive, I just don't know how to process this. Remember when we all thought this game was going to be an isekai? I mean, the name is Stranger of Paradise. The characters have modern clothing and cell phones. And the fact that Jack Garland looks like he drinks Monster and punches drywall. But apparently that isn't the case. In a recent interview with the developers, they had this to say when asked. It's not meant to be like an isekai, sorry. We understand that people may have seen the protagonist's outfit, which seems very modern compared to your typical high fantasy, and may have had that interpretation. In this realm where Final Fantasy I also takes place, we have the people of Lufania. They have ancient technologies, but they also have very advanced technologies at the same time, so they kind of coexist between this sort of high fantasy, but also modern looking elements. That's probably where people may have taken notice of how their clothing is different, and felt that it was unusual and gave that sort of isekai impression. But if you do play the story and find out what the background is of the people of Lufania, you see how they utilize both the fantasy elements and very modern sort of technology aspects as well. Once you play through, you will see that it makes sense. For those who are unaware, Lufania was always part of Final Fantasy I, and I do think it is actually cool that they're going to go this deep into Final Fantasy I's lore. So a lot of these concepts are actually pretty cool, but then I hear the characters talking in this game and I'm quickly reminded with what I'm dealing with.
You'll just forget.
I won't.
Why is it like this? Probably the only character I'm really vibing with so far out of all of these is this one. And that's because, mommy, sorry. I was also fairly surprised by the use of Frank Sinatra music. Something that, as a content creator, I hate, because it means I can't do reactions or use the main theme of the game, but as a consumer, it's pretty cool. And you know what? I kind of like the pretentious use of Frank Sinatra's music in media. It's also interesting to note that each of the game's major locations are inspired by subsequent Final Fantasies after FF1. Such locations as the Sunken Shrine are clearly inspired by the Mako reactors in Final Fantasy VII. And that is one of the coolest things about the game from my perspective. I really can't wait to see what other locations they draw inspiration from. Ultimately, I think this game is going to have a niche audience that is going to absolutely love it. And I think for them, it will be almost sort of a cult classic. Though it remains to be seen for me is how everyone else will react to it. This game is launching weeks after Elden Ring, a highly anticipated game in the same genre that is also much more likely to be well received. And launching this game so closely to it is likely to draw some comparisons. And in those comparisons, Stranger of Paradise is probably not going to come out as the top dog. However, for those with a deep bias to Final Fantasy, they'll still probably pick this one up. As for me, I will definitely be playing it day one, but I don't know if I'm excited or if I like this or how to feel about this game. But at the very least, the gameplay from the demos is so good that even if the story ends up bad, I could still probably reasonably enjoy the game. But all of this is just my take on this. I want to hear yours. Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you'd like to keep this channel going and growing, consider becoming a patron like Skullbacon, with the link in the description below. Shout out to Skullbacon and the rest of the Ultima community.